Hello and welcome to Mixed Media Frenzy. Today we're all, us frenzied ladies are all working from this sketch, and it's really nice. I'm going to try to take as simple an approach to this as I can. There's you can see the big blue splotch. And because some of these stamped images are underneath the splotch, I'm going to say that that's probably paint that was applied after the stamping was done. And then there's, it looks like paper circles around, a few scraps of paper, the photo, a title, and a floral cluster here and a flower up there, and some notebook paper there. I'm going to try to include all of these elements, but as I said, I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. So let's get started. Here's my photo. It's a photo of my granddaughter Katie on the 9th day of her brand new baby brother's hospitalization in the neonatal intensive care unit. And a bunch of people had come up to the house. I was visiting from Texas to help out, and I would take her to the hospital every day and so forth. But her aunt from Gulf Shores, Alabama, came up to, this was in Kentucky, came up to Kentucky to escape a hurricane. And her aunt Athena was from a different town in Kentucky. She was in Louisville, and she came with her baby. So it was a full house, and everyone was devoting a lot of their attention to Katie. And so they kind of dressed her up. She had her little lip gloss and her little purse, and she was just walking around like little Miss Priss. So that's going to be the title of this page. I'm doing it also I was inspired to use this photo. It was taken with a very old phone, 2004 vintage, probably 2003 or 2002 because it was mine. And it's very blurry. She was moving. I didn't catch it at a good time, but I love it. And so I definitely wanted to scrap it. There's also someone, I think that's probably Anne-Marie, on the floor behind her, kind of helping her with her outfit, and that didn't add to the photo, and I couldn't find a way to cover it up, so that's going to get scrapped too. So I'm going to put this aside and let's do the background. Okay. First off, I'm using a page from what I think is my 4th tablet. I just opened it up. I finished my 3rd. It's my 4th tablet of this Vicki Boutin White Foundation's mixed media art paper. Best thing in the world to take wet media. Let me pull that over. I'm going to be using a lot of Paige Evans Horizon for pink paisley. And supplies. I've fussy cut some flowers, and I have some scraps of paper. And then for the background, I'm using entirely Tim Holtz Distress Oxides, and I pulled some purple and pink colors to kind of work. What I plan to do is just kind of spread as many of these colors as I can onto the pad, using more of the light ones than I do of the darker. So I'm just going to start by, this is Spun Sugar, so that's a really pale pink. This is Shaded Lilac, which is a kind of a bluish lavender. Milled Lavender, which is a very pale, almost muted brownish lavender. And then my color that I want to somewhat tone down is this purple. which is called Wilted Violet, and it's my favorite color in the entire universe. So now I'm going to spritz and we'll see. I want to do a small test. Let's see, I don't have a good piece of paper. Let me get this scrap that I cut off. So I'm just gonna kind of see what that does. Ooh, that looks nice, but it is a tad wet. That will kind of work better with the this paper, but I only want it kind of in the middle, so I'm gonna try to let it come down that way and switch it over to that way, and we'll see. That's a little bit kind of spotty, so what I'm going to do is take this and see if I can make it a little bit more solid in the center just by doing that. And it still kind of keeps with the, it still has the splatters around the edge. Okay, so I'm gonna fold that up, move that over, and I'm gonna put this aside to dry while I work on the photo cluster. And I'll do, after it has dried a bit, I will do some, not sure which way to use it. I may do it this way, and because I want those circles, I'm gonna do the circles. Actually, let me do the circles now, because it may be interesting to see how they work. Okay, so I'm doing, get that off to the side. Maybe interesting to see how they look. Up in the wet medium. I'm not doing any particular spacing, or let that one kind of go off the page. Okay, I think the photo cluster will probably cover these two up, and these two are a little bit different. I'm gonna maybe do that. And I'm gonna maybe do this over here. That's a little far up, but maybe something like that. Okay, I think that's going to work. And from the feel of that, it's beginning to get dry. Okay, now I'm gonna bring my photo cluster elements forward. I have already done some inking on the edges of this. I'm going to kind of bring out that purplish color. So I'm going to ink on this notebook paper I have a punch that did that. And so I'll do that. Let me see if I can ink. The journaling is printed on photo paper on the same 4x6 sheet of photo paper that I printed the photo on. I didn't want to print the photo too big because then the blurriness would have been the main story there. The flowers already have a navy blue edge. I cut them out of a navy blue paper, floral paper, from Bloom Street by Paige Evans. So I'll do this pink. This is going to be the background for the photo and the journaling and the base of the photo cluster, or the floral cluster. I have this sheet of acetates, an acetate overlay that has the purple and the pinks in there. And then the very background that's going to go over a lot of that paint cluster is this pattern paper with springtime kinds of words and other things, and I'm not featuring the words, so I'm going to kind of cover them up a bit, but it does provide the base for all the rest of these layers. This really shows through nicely there. I'm going to staple that on kind of over here in an area that's likely to be to have the cluster. Have it at an angle. Then I'm going to put this at a little bit different angle, and then I'll turn it all like that on its end. This is going to be parallel with the back part. I think I want to put some foam because that's the main cluster support there. Okay, let's see. I want to be sure that this sticks to that. Let's see. Well, however that goes on. Now I want to put this, get this inserted under there. All of these patterns are, you know, part of the Bloom Street collection. And here that lavender is really, really subtle. Okay, so for this area up here, I thought I'd do this floral cluster since it has some leaves attached to it. It was on the end of the pattern paper, so that's enough there. Down here, I can do this and then kind of layer some of these others over and under. There. I have this. Well, let's do, I want the purple flower on the very top, but I think I'll do this here. And then I'm going to put this on a bit of foam to elevate it, make it a little more important. I'll do it. I'm not crazy about this. There, that fixes it. There was a bit of a light colored leaf that kind of overlapped this flower. Okay, now that kind of tells me where I can put this guy, and it's going to overlap. I really don't want to cover too much of that. I hate covering any of that that acetate overlay. Okay, there. And then this can go here. I'm actually going to prop it up on a bit of foam. Let's make sure I'm in the right way here, and then I'll put something there. Okay, that's good. I think that will work. Okay, and that leaves that there. I could, with a little bit of liquid glue, add these. I've got a couple little kind of flower sprigs, flower buds, if you will, including this one that I can kind of have there. And then I have a leaf cluster that I can kind of squeeze in under here. So it has 3 different colors of leaves: the lime green, the mint green, and the greenish blue. Okay, and where do I want this? Do I want it down here? I don't think so. I think I'm just gonna kind of use it here. Okay, so that's the photo cluster. Now, let's bring this back and do, before I put this on here, it's gonna go like this, and I've really only got these circles showing, and that's okay. What I want is to kind of mark where it's gonna go with a pencil, and I'll pull up my For the Love of Pretty Paper, an FTLOPP pencil from 2019 that I won in a drawing there. I'm gonna kind of move it over a little bit and do this, and then I'll do the same thing here, kind of right there. So that kind of tells me where I can underlap the cluster with some stamping. So I have this stamp set, which I've used many, many times. I'm going to pick this one. It's the one that's the most similar to the one here, although I could have picked any of the others or 3 different ones. Just to keep it simple, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to try it in this full-on purple and see how that shows up. Let me see where I made my pencil mark. If I recall, it was something like this. So I kind of want one right in here and another one maybe right here at the end of this flower cluster and another one right up in here. So let's do this one first. Okay, that worked. And so that'll look cool there. And then right here, that one didn't really, it didn't really have enough ink there. Let's see what we're doing here. But that's okay. The leaf kind of covers that, and it can be placed so the leaf covers more of it. I'm going to overlap this with my pink circle. Okay, so I think it has a lot of texture and all the right colors. I think I'll slap some foam on the back, get it adhered, and then I have some Nouveau Drops that I'm going to add. This is the pattern paper that I fussy cut the flowers from. They used to be right there. I don't think I'll ever have enough of this particular paper. Okay, so that's good there. Now let me get my Nouveau Drops. I've got both the crystal drops, which will add a like an enamel dot to that kind of looks like this purple, and they'll be glossy. These are stone drops, which go on kind of like sandy, and they look like stone when they dry. So I'm going to kind of do at certain areas, let's say maybe right in here. Oops, that I should have followed my own advice, which is to use these to do a test first. So I'm going to do 2 of the shiny ones here, and then I'll do 1 of the stone. And up here I'll do 1 shiny and 2 stones. And down here I'll do another 2 shinies and a stone, 1 stone. I'm making these fairly large. They're a slightly different color purple than what we've used, but they certainly go. Let me do my test here. Okay, that one's coming out just fine. Okay, so I'll do 1 kind of right down here. And you can see that that's a little bit darker color, but when it dries, these will be really, really shiny, and this will have a stone-like texture. So let me do 1 up here. And then here, I'm gonna do 2. I want 1, maybe right there, and 1 down there. Okay, so I'm done, and I couldn't be happier. I love purple. I love adding the pink to it that kind of coordinates with all the flowers. And there's, you know, I'm walking on sunshine, remember, joy, breathe, blossom. Again, walking on sunshine. All of these, the sayings on there actually are appropriate for the occasion. And her little green purse and even Anne-Marie's green shirt kind of go nicely with the leaf clusters there. So I'm happy. I hope you are. Thank you for watching. Appreciate your support. See you next week. Bye. Now let's see if this will work.